After this battle, the word secret war in the Oman, the word secret was removed. The noise of battle could be heard in the night air all the way down to Salalah, the capital of the southern Oman. Civilians were listening to the noise of battle. Airworks were asked to work through the night, getting the aircraft ready for a bombing run before first light in the morning. The medics were working, PFA were working in the operating theatre, needed more blood. A call for blood, for volunteers to give blood from Taylor Woodrow's and the local hospital, and things were just getting worse. So the shelling went on all night, but we had John Forsyth, Captain Garside, needed evacuation. John wouldn't have lasted the night. He was dying with 2 bullet wounds in the stomach. He had to be evacuated. So an RAF pilot flying a helicopter came in during the night to try and take him out. He flew over our position about 6 times, but there was a little mist over and the smell of smoke in the air and from the explosions, and he couldn't locate her. So in the end, he had to turn his lights on and come in with the risk of being blown to pieces. For his action that day and the next day, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. That's how brave he was, trying to get the wounded out, and the following day. So eventually he came in and he got John Forsyth taken to Salalah and a few other wounded taken away. We didn't sleep and expected an attack at first light, but the jets were in the air giving us protection, so the enemy did not attack. The plan went forward with Jaish regular battalion leading and going down the ridges. Well, we followed this battalion, and the companies were supposed to split off and go down different ridges. I'm at the back, fortunately, and everybody's going down the same ridge into the valley. One ridge. Instead of going down the 4 or 5 different ridges that had been in the previous plan, it had been allocated. Now, if you think of it, if you've got a lot of men moving down one ridge, only the men at the front can have contact with the enemy. Anybody behind cannot give support and fire. So although you've got 700 men walking down a ridge can be concave, convex. This was like a 45-degree job, and given no cover to anybody on the ridge, myself included, at the back. So, as I said in previous video, the enemy knew British Army tactics because Russians had spies go to Sanders, so Russians aren't stupid, and they trained the enemy what a Rupert would do when they came under fire. So when the officer at the front was I think Captain, oh, I've got his name written down, Loring, Captain Loring, who was in charge of a company of Jaish. So he was in the lead. 1 or 2 Adu started firing at him from a position. British Army tactics. Put down a machine gun, return fire, get the infantry to circle round, get near and attack. The Adu knew what we were going to do. They knew what this officer would do, and he did it to the letter. The gun group was down, returning fire on 2 Adu. So, Captain Loring took his men round. Now there was a clear opening, and he had to rush across this opening to kill the two Adu. Well, nobody listening to what happened to the Iranians, what happened the day before. There's more than two down there. But he went ahead with his plan of British officer attack, and he broke cover with a platoon of men and attacked the two Adu. Wallop. About 40 Adu stood up with their AKs and just mowed them down. Everyone down. Everyone shot, killed, wounded, or pretending to be wounded. Everybody was down. Then they attacked the company at the front. Well, other men behind couldn't give support and fire. And each company had about 4 SAS. And there's a lad called Ginge, a good friend of mine. He was at the front. And he gave a sit rep. We're being overrun. We're being overrun. The enemy's coming. They're charging at us. We're being overrun. Our men are running. The SAS weren't running. But the regular army were running. So they were throwing the weapons down and running back up amongst and coming past me like they'd just done a sprint up the mountain. A donkey came up past me. I might say that they had a donkey which was carrying ammunition. They unloaded the donkey and put 2 dead bodies of our men on the donkey. And as the donkey passed, I could see even the donkey was shot in the neck. So I'm lying down, trying to blend in with this slope, and bullets were coming over my face. And the bush behind me, the leaves were coming off the bush. It was like autumn with a whack, 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 whack. So everybody was getting, like, the live fire was coming in everywhere. And only the front company could return fire. We had a forward observation officer, and he called the jets in. Well, he wasn't very good at the job, because the jets came in so close that he got shot 7 times by our own jets. So he was down, but that's how close the enemy were. But he brought them in a little bit too close. So we had more and more casualties. And SAS that were working with the Jewish companies ran down to give support to Ginge and the SAS at the front. So they took machine guns and GPMGs off the company and ran down to give forward support and took on the enemy in the front. The same helicopter that took out John Forsyth last night, the night, came in and took off wounded out of the hill. A lot of men were down. Right, I'm at the back, and I got Major Ling a few meters from me. And the general who had organised this battle was in a helicopter above, witnessing what was happening. And I mean, see, the battle's raging on, and they're having a fight over the radio. I'm going to report you, Major Ling, I said to the general. I'm going to report you when I get back to Erevan. This is a disaster. So that a bit more shouting back and forward. Then Ling gets the binoculars out. All the men, which you could see about 300 yards away in the opening, are dead. We'll pull back to base camp on the hill. But they organised a bombing run on the dead, wounded, and those pretending to be wounded. They didn't want the enemy to take any hostages. it was, I mean, say, I'm an ex-medic. A doctor couldn't say anybody was dead at 300 meters away. And if I had been out there in the open and I wasn't hit, I'd be lying very still, pretending to be dead. But these two officers called in a bombing run on our own men. And Captain Loring was one that was getting a 500-pound bomb dropped on him. Our own men were running. SAS weren't running. But the regular mercenary battalion and its officers were retreating like a bat out of hell. Some of them had no weapons, some of them were running. So the battle was a total disaster. Now, I'm with boat troop at the back, and we had a lieutenant in the boat troop who later became a general. And I said to him, look sir, see the ridge over there? If the enemy, who are very clever and have just attacked us, take that ridge, we got two lots of fire coming at us, one from the front and one from the side. Would it not be a good idea just to put a mortar round down there on that ridge, so if they do take the ridge, that you can call in quick mortar support? Oh, good idea, Mum. To this day, he never hit that fucking ridge. His map reading was so bad. I mean, say one of the rounds sounded like it was coming in amongst us, and the ridge was about 400 or 500 yards away. He couldn't hit that ridge. This was British officers. So, as I'm down lying and these bullets are coming over me, I'm thinking, £63 a week for a married man with one kid. There's no way I'm going to fight for the British Army anymore. So, the front companies withdrew, and finally we withdrew back until the base position that we started from. The enemy down below was celebrating in Arab fashion, yelling and shooting into the air. They had defeated an SAS unit and British trained troops with British officers. It was a disaster. We called in jet strikes to try and stop their screaming and yelling in celebration. We threw in mortars as much as we could, but we returned to lick our wounds, and a lot more surgery work was needed down in Salalah, and more blood called for. In Hereford, teams were going round knocking on doors. Oh, your husband has been shot in action. We can't tell you any more at the moment. The secret war was no longer a secret. Too many people were getting shot, and the secret was out. Another day, another night, in continuation of this battle. It will be my next video.